the officer, whoever was policing our community, to control that stoplight, let the buses out, get the cars egress back in and out. And Lake County DOT and IDOT both told us that the signs or traffic control signals were too close together. And at the same time, he told us that they had to be a certain distance apart. And then Home Depot pops up on Route 83, and lo and behold, there's stoplights everywhere in front of Home Depot, and they were less than a quarter mile apart. You clock that distance between Rollins Road and Hook Drive, and then the Home Depot. That's closer than a quarter mile. So I don't know who's calling the kettle black, but we got absolutely no cooperation from it. Ted and I banged our heads against the wall for 4 years trying to do that.
They have a real nice set of lights out in the middle of nowhere at the Bowl Village Hall.
Yeah.
With turn lanes and everything. It's beautiful.
So I think I think what they were looking for us to do is that they were saying, well, gee, Hainesville, why don't you open up your checkbook and pay for it?
Well, they've never said they could put a light that we would pay for. Not that I think we're going to go that route, but they have never said that to us.
No, I think that's what they were alluding to. So that's where we're at, just for a little background information for you.
Well, I talked to Greg about us even possibly, we're going to propose our latest idea, and then I talked about maybe we could have a meeting with IDOT down in Schaumburg if need be.
And we'll just get some additional signage in there if possible. That's what the goal of the meeting is.
I guess from the long range thing, we've talked about a number of times, is trying to get that road, some sort of agreement with Russo, so the school traffic can come in, some sort of at the stoplight there.
Oh, yeah, that's the other reason we're pushing for the municipal extension of Hainesville Road. But in the meantime, we're just trying to do everything we can.
Right.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to our attorney, Jim Rock.
Thank you, Mayor. This past month, we've prepared the ordinances that are on the agenda for tonight. The ordinance that requires Bassett training for individuals who will be selling or serving alcoholic liquor. Also, the regulations for alternative energy collection systems that we held a public hearing for prior to this meeting. In addition to that, we reviewed the condominium association covenants. We've had some requests from condominium associations, and this is on the agenda later, from individuals who live in the condominium associations to increase the number of rental units in those. And we'll talk a little bit about what the agreements say and what the village's authority is in regard to that a little bit later tonight. Also, we completed a draft of a CENTCOM surcharge agreement that's been sent to their attorney for review. Also, a dispatch agreement with the village of Grays Lake, which will tie up that loose end that's been out there for a little bit of time now. And also, we drafted an initial draft of an ordinance that would regulate the sale of wide tip markers and spray paint by businesses in the village. And that one will probably be presented at the February meeting.
Thanks, Jerry. Public Works Superintendent Jeff Gately.
Yes, good evening. Dare I say it's been a little quiet this season with the lack of snow, which doesn't mean we have not been productive. That's why I set it up open for some, so I can test all my new equipment. So we'll see what happens. At any rate, obviously we've been busy during the holidays putting up all the village decorations, getting everything set back and done. A project that I just started today, per Lake County, the old well that was capped at the old village hall site. There's a pit, concrete pit, that they want us to take one wall off of so there's proper drainage. That's a project I thought was going to be a piece of cake that's turning out to be just short of a nightmare. So what I thought was going to be a day is going to be a couple of days at best. The concrete is at least 1.5 to 2 feet thick. So we're in there with jackhammers, and it's kind of an ugly situation. I know that Trustee Duberstein did mention that there's a couple of potholes over on Tall Oak. Those will get addressed within the next couple of days while the weather's still nice. And of interest, I went to the Grays Lake Fire Department this afternoon. They're getting their ISO rating this year. We kind of went through this a couple of years ago with the Greater Round Lake Fire District. We're members of Grays Lake and we're members of Round Lake. Grays Lake, excuse me. It's Grays Lake's turn to get their review. So again, Hainesville is going to be involved in that. So we're going to have to do the paperwork, the hydrant tests, and all that. Of interest, when we started this, it was 2010. We started doing exercising the hydrants every year, greasing and keeping records. So now that this is happening again, we have those records, so it should be a pretty smooth event. Yeah, there shouldn't be too much time involved with that. And that's about all I've got for now. Thanks.
Building official, Russ Crayley.
Everybody has my report. I gave you 3 parts: the monthly report, the yearly and total report, and then the comparison report since we started 15 years ago. And you can see that we're down a little bit from last year in the commercial stuff especially. Hopefully things change here because it's we're selling homes still. In fact, we did the same amount of occupancy inspection as we did last year, but I think most of them are not selling. People are just walking away or getting a depot and they're going back on the market and for short sales. So that's about it.
EMA coordinator, Mike Franco.
Thank you. Really have nothing to report that way. There is a meeting of the EMA committee tomorrow night here in the chambers at 7 p.m. We have just a couple of topics that we're going to cover, and I promise it won't be long. February 7th, I bring this up now because this will happen for the next meeting, is the great shakeout for the Midwest 7 states. Again, it comes back to earthquake preparedness. What I'm trying to do right now, speaking with the mayor, is work with Prairie View School because they do have earthquake planning in their disaster drill. So what I'm trying to do is work with the community in the village or with the school to get involved and make sure that they do have their drill coming up and somehow participate with that, which I think would be a good thing. If the general public would like to participate, you can go online and do that. You can actually register your name in our hometown to show everybody that you're going to be involved, and that's at 10:15 on February 7th. Finally, and if and when it does snow, if everybody can please keep vigilant to the fire hydrants and help out by keeping them clean. You may not necessarily get a snowfall that will cover it, but sometimes plowing and drifting affects that. So if you're out with the neighbors, it doesn't hurt to go out and just help keep the hydrants clear. If something does happen, it does help the fire department in response time. That's it.
Thank you, Mike. Our treasurer, Kelly Hensley, is not present tonight, but I can tell you that she's been very busy receiving everyone's budget requests for the upcoming budget and compiling those. And Jerry, I'll let you expand on that under finance, okay?
Okay.
Village clerk, yeah, well, that's the...
Okay, actually, tomorrow, Roseanne, deputy...
You want a mic?
No.
Thank you. Actually, tomorrow, Roseanne Stark, who's my deputy, her and I will be attending an emergency preparedness session by Lee Shannon from Antioch Village Hall. So I'm looking so forward to that. He's a good speaker. Also been working on my budget, got that completed, and then working on the public hearing for tonight. And starting to get the website going. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, December was a busy month with what I call the fun activities for the most part, our holiday mixer and such. I'm going to keep my report brief. Other important meeting was Swelco, which Pat talked about. We were very excited to adopt that report. Now we have that on tonight's agenda. Also, just want to mention as an FYI, this has been a question from a number of residents. It's been a thorn in my side, and I think of some of the other trustees. Of course, we know that we have to deal, many municipalities have to deal with vacant homes in these times of foreclosures and such. But there's one house in this town that holds the record by far, because it has quite a history. It went into pre-foreclosure, as many do. The couple that owned the house went into divorce. One of them was trying to save the situation, file bankruptcy, but save the house to sell the house. And when something goes into bankruptcy, it freezes everything. It really ties everything up, and it limits what we, the village, can do. So that went and dragged out for a considerable amount of time. Now, of course, there was still an issue of who was maintaining the property and mowing it. And of course, the village can't, again, take action until weeds exceed a certain height. And every time they would get in the neighborhood of that height, we had a wonderful neighbor with good intentions that kept mowing it, but not getting compensated for it. So I explained to him why that was a very generous thing to do, that I could not really take the appropriate action that needed to be taken. So we had quite a vicious circle go on for some time with that. The house has finally moved further into out of the bankruptcy and back into the foreclosure process. So I now have finally been recently in contact with the bank and the attorney handling the property. We had an issue of people breaking into the home, young adults, and so we had the police out there several times. At one time, what was discovered, a basement window was broken. There was 5 feet of water in the basement, so we contacted the attorney. They got a crew out there, they pumped it out. I just got an email from the bank because I've been persistent about them addressing other issues, problems with the house, and asking for them to at least get lighting on the outside. It is very dark around this house given the design and the location of it. So the lighting has been put in place, and I'm happy to report this afternoon when I drove by, there was finally a truck with a cleaning crew. So I am hopeful that we're finally moving forward. I know this has been a frustration. This house is located at 243 Littleton Trail in Misty Hill, so we expect it to move forward much more quickly now. So,
did Russ Red tag it from the illegal swimming pool?
Oh, quite hot in the basement.
Yeah.
He did write up a full report, which was sent to the attorney, which we're thankful for.
Didn't see the pool.
I thought it was quite hot in the basement.
With that, we'll move on to our standing committees. Finance, Trustee Daly.
As the mayor indicated, the budget process is well underway. Thank you for turning in your request on time. The next step is Kelly will compile it, tweak the revenue, and then I'll give first glance at it, get the laugh, and say, well, we can't spend this much. And then the second step, the step after that will be a determination of how much money, maybe, I should say, how much money needs to be reduced, and then it'll go back to the various committee chairmen for their continued input, and the finance committee will be in on that step also. The second thing is that I will be attending on January 19th, Lake County Municipal League meeting concerning municipal electricity aggregation, insights from a joint bidding and contracting process. Grace Lake has gone through this, and they've signed a 2-year contract. There's an article in the
IML review.
It's something that I was going to go and talk to the gentleman, Mike May, from Grace Lake about it, and then he's speaking at this meeting. So we'll look into it for a couple years down the road. The gist behind it is they saved a fair amount. I'm not going to make any quotes because I'm not quite certain. On the village, every resident's electric bill. It's on a mandated program. Individual residents had, in the way they chose, had an option to opt out of the program. But if people were in it, that they should. Pat, do you have any idea how much your bill was lowered?
Well, it just started January 1.
Okay,
I think
so
the projection is close to 30%. I mean, it's significant. Yeah. And it's, you talk to Mike Ellis or Mike May, he said it's extremely simple to do. The county's going to look into it to potentially